welcome to the second episode of Reviewia Talks. And today our guest is Ms Karuna Ahuja. Karuna, a very warm welcome to you. We are very happy
Thank
to
you.
have you as our guest today. So, quick introduction, about Karuna to our viewers. Karuna is what we call a global HRpreneur. She is someone with 17 years of work experience across various roles, in the HR spectrum. She's worked in the corporate sector. She has a lot of entrepreneurial experience. She's been a senior leader across various corporate roles in the past, and currently she's the founder of Chrome Consulting, which is a people advisory organization. She's also a career and leadership coach for mid and senior level professionals. In her corporate career, she has worked for various companies and clients in diverse industries across cultures. Interestingly, Karuna is also a mentor of change with Niti Aayog of Government of India, and is also an industry expert with Skill Council for People with Disability. Karuna recently won an award from Women Economic Forum and Women Innovators for contribution in the field of HR. So, Karuna, we are really, delighted to have you on our show. And
Thank
so
you.
we'll,
Thank you so much.
right. So we'll straight away kind of jump into a discussion and want to hear your thoughts on certain aspects around candidate experience. Reviewia exists, with the commitment of improving candidate experience. So I will straight away jump on to the first question that I have. Karuna, with the limited data that is available, around candidate experience, we see that around 60 to 70% of candidates don't have a positive experience with organizations, be it small or large. What, according to you, are the reasons that this problem is not getting addressed sufficiently?
Yeah, I do agree, and I think there are a lot of statistics around the fact that which showcase um, there are 60-70% of candidates who don't get a positive experience, or when surveyed, do share that they don't get a positive experience. And if I really look at it from a other side of the table and try to look at my experience of how we've looked at HR and how we've addressed candidates, there are a couple of reasons why I feel that this problem is not getting addressed. One aspect is that candidates come from a very different perception, and organizations have a very different perception. But of course, with changing times, you know that it's now becoming a job seekers market rather than an employers market, honestly, because of opportunities available and people, candidates becoming much more stronger on leveraging their communication and experience to showcase about their experience in the organizations. So, with that thought, of course, both parties, if I kind of address them like parties, both come with a very different perspective. A candidate is seeking a job, and an employer wants to hire a person for a position that they have open. Now, one aspect is because the perceptions are very different. There are gaps in terms of addressing that. Now, organizations do it, they might have a good intention, but many a times what happens is the focus area is not on that, because when they look at it from a perspective that they have 20, 50, 100, 200 candidates for a position, the entire process, recruitment process is to be taken across. Candidate has to go through that, and also there are a lot of times when they feel that the candidates are not the right candidates are not applying to positions. There are a lot of process related issues also. There are a lot of perception related issues, I must say. And also there are a lot of the organizations need to start thinking of the fact that they need to create that positive experience, because now the shift is coming into the employment market, where it's a job seekers market, where it is more about it's more open about expression. So the shift needs to be adopted by organizations also. So these are a few reasons I believe the problem is not getting addressed sufficiently, and there is a lot of scope in terms of improvements companies can go through in this process.
Right, right. Thanks for your views on that. So kind of taking a deeper cut on this, as you said, there are various aspects on which organizations can focus, which can have a positive impact on the overall experience of the candidate. One such aspect, which determines the overall experience of a candidate is the quality of the job description, and the effort of the employer to take out time to explain the opportunity to the candidate. So we've seen this also, kind of missing in a lot of instances. Even on our own website, Reviewia, we see, there are feedback about candidates not being satisfied with the level of detail available on the job description, or
Yes.
there seems to be some eventual unclarity even during the interview interactions about what is expected out of the role and what the candidate can expect out of it. So what do you think, comes in the way of organizations from doing a good job at this?
Yeah, I do believe that there are a lot of challenges. One could be organizations are not communicating effectively. There are a lot of challenges in terms of not doing a lot of social media related work, so that there is enough visibility about the organization. So there are a lot of reasons why there are experiences not great experiences. Yes, job descriptions is one aspect, a very important aspect of it as well. Now, what happens is, when an organization puts down a job description, many a times, if there is a junior person who's written a job description, sometimes they put some information, or make it, such that it is very vague, rather than making it specific. So there is no clear role clarity coming out of that job description. So that is what happens, and why organizations are not being able to do it is sometimes internally the processes are such that it could be that maybe the right person did not make the right job description. It could be that the job description when made was pretty vague, the language used was pretty vague, and there was no role clarity given to the person who was making the job description as well. So of course when the communication happens, there is limited communication that will happen. So the job descriptions explanation is another aspect to it. So what happens is, let's say, even if they did a fairly okay, and let's say a senior person made a job description. Now, let's say if it is a junior position, sometimes the junior person is not able to relate to the language of the senior person also. So it's an art to make good job descriptions, and an organization should invest time into doing it, and they should follow a certain strong format or a standardized format. But the job description ideally should be such that it should be talking to the candidate, whether it's a junior level, so it should be written in a certain fashion. If it is a senior level, there'll be some more expectations in terms of questions that they would have on the role. So a role clarity needs to be provided by the employer. And sometimes when the recruiter is given the job description, let's say a senior person has made that job description, for the junior person, if the business has not given enough input to the recruiter, at times the recruiter is not able to explain it. And sometimes, because the recruiter has so much of pressure in terms of hiring people, they have to talk to 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, they end up not doing a great job in terms of communicating, because they don't give value to the candidate as, let's say, an important advocate of the organization. So I would say that when we look at recruitment process, the organization, the business, as well as the HR people need to look at the recruitment process like more like a sales process, because you're trying to attract the right talent in your organization. And when you attract the right talent, of course there'll be much higher productivity, higher retention, better cultural fit that you will be able to hire. So yes, there is a gap there. And why they don't do it, as I shared, couple of reasons that could happen. And the perspective shift that it's a sales process, actually, that you are going out and wanting to get the right fit. It's so, imagine a recruiter would do a great job. Let's say if you know that you have to sell this position, if I have to use that language, you have to sell that position to the organization, to the candidate. So you would view it in a very different fashion. The other aspect that I look at it is also, sometimes a lot of organizations don't use technology in the right way. And they don't have analytics to tell them that are the right candidates applying for the right position, or they don't use enough of reportings out of the tool. They don't sometimes they don't even have softwares for that. So I would say that organizations should start considering investing into something like that also, which will help them kind of um, help the process in overall, and look at this entire recruitment process more like a sales process where you're branding the organization and making sure that they are giving enough attention to each step of the process. And consider this, that a candidate is actually, uh, if they are strong advocates of the organization, even if they don't get hired, the organization will land up with the right talent for themselves. Because if they go out and from word of mouth, or from, let's say, the reviews that they might put on media, because today, we have a lot of tools where they can put their experience on media, on the internet, etc. There'll be a lot of candidates right people will be able to get attracted if they give positive experience about them. um, so I would say, make the job description as simplistic as possible, uh, uncomplicate the process of job application also, and also use technology to kind of fasten things up, maybe write personalized emails to the candidates, and try to answer their questions. Sometimes we don't have enough information as recruiters, so kind of get that information from the business and fill the candidates in with that.
Yeah, I think those are
So
great points. If I have to summarize, I got about 3-4 points out of your response. One is language that you use in a job description. I think that's a great point. We see so many job descriptions full of jargons, and it is far from simple. So I think that's where a lot of organizations end up overdoing their job description and assuming that these jargons would be easily understandable by everyone. The other very pertinent point that I got as a takeaway from your response is the ownership of job description lies not only with the recruitment function, which unfortunately is the case with most organizations today, but I think the organizations which are doing a good job, you would agree that the ownership lies with the business or the hiring manager, and recruitment function acts as a facilitator. I think that was a great point, and I think people who are watching this video of ours, they should take a cue from that. And I think if they're able to implement this suggestion, which is a simple fix, not a big one, just a shift of ownership, it will really help them deliver better output in terms of job descriptions and eventually better candidate experience. I think those are great. And the last point that you said, looking at the whole recruitment process as a sales process,
big
I think
process,
that
yeah.
that's a big transition for a lot of organizations, the way people approach, especially in our Indian culture, given that we are sitting in the middle of an economic crisis and a pandemic where, for now people are, not having jobs and opportunities, but that is going to change very quickly. Like you said, good candidates would always be difficult to attract. So I think the point that you made about building recruitment as a branding function is a great point. I think it's very, very relevant for the way organizations should hire today.
There are tools available today. Technology has those kinds of tools
Mm.
available, and I think the team just needs to kind of leverage those tools.
Right, right. And just an extension of the point that you made about employer branding. So now we see a lot of employer branding messages around diversity and inclusion, where almost every organization is promoting themselves as equal opportunity employers. But do you think organizations need to reassess their hiring processes and practices to really live up to their vision or promise of tilting the scales in terms of diversity as a element of the overall workforce?
See, diversity is important in today's time, and I would use the word inclusion more because diversity does already exist in organizations. It's more about accepting the employees with that diverse perspectives that they come with. So making organizations as inclusive workplaces, if that is what the agenda is for an organization, which is very very important today, because we know that there is enough research around the fact that innovation happens in a highly diverse setup, and we need to as organizations make diverse setups inclusive, diverse people included, feel included, because that's where high productivity will be there and a lot of innovation will happen. And innovation, no doubt, there are a lot of researches available which talk about the fact that innovation leads to more strength to the organization, more business, more revenue for them. There is a direct correlation in that. So considering that, of course, I want to say that diversity and inclusion becomes very important, and organizations surely need to reassess their hiring process and practices, because in today's times technology is becoming so strong that we know we are all being able to work, let's say, work from home as well. There are a lot of people who can get included with that one aspect. The other aspect is whether it's from a region point of view, whether it is from a physical disability point of view or gender point of view or any other aspect, all these people can get included very easily with technology coming in place. The other aspect is, as I mentioned, because of the innovation, we need to consider more people getting included in this kind of a setup. Now, the process, yes, surely needs that, because many a times when recruiters ask questions or business ask questions, they interview people, sometimes there are unconscious biases with them. So it would help to reassess the process and consider that, is my recruitment process aligned to the inclusion philosophy that I have in my company? Asking that question will help. Also, consider that, let's say, if you're considering people from different backgrounds, age wise or gender wise or whatever, um, you should incorporate multiple messages from an employer, as an employer brand, which give them that kind of a message that yes, there is such experience that is possible in a positive experience is possible in that organization. So capturing those stories will become important, and then you'll have to see, okay, how do you kind of brand it, and that would require a change of hiring process. So gone are the days when people would look at the CVs and shortlist people. Organizations need to now look at new ways of hiring people, maybe make it more experiential, and make that process a very experiential process, and you'll actually have good hires coming out of it as well, not just by looking at a piece of paper and saying we'll hire this person or not hire. There are a lot of unconscious biases that will come in picture because of those processes, and we need to kind of remove them by re-looking at the uh, ways of hiring.
Great.
So
I think, I think that was a very pertinent response. We seem to be kind of at the cusp of seeing some really drastic changes in the way hiring happens. Few things that we've already started seeing is some large organizations have done away with minimum qualification for their roles. I think while it might not be gender diversity, but we're talking about certain biases or challenging certain existing traditions. We see some of that already happening with some fairly large leading organizations. So I think, the point that you made about people need to reinvent how they hire, because the talent that they want to hire, to identify that talent, maybe just looking at a piece of paper won't be sufficient. So I think those are great points, Karuna. We really appreciate your views on candidate experience. We thank you again for taking out time for doing this. I'm sure our viewers would be hugely benefited by listening to your views on candidate experience and the related aspects. Thank you so much
My
again.
pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you for inviting me to this platform. This is a lovely experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.